Laser sights increase confidence regardless of experience level, whether you're learning the fundamentals or overcoming aging eyes. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you.
The number one national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
I was remembering 23 years ago when we started Gun Talk Radio. People say, "Oh, you're going to do a hunting show?" No, we're not doing a hunting show. It's a gun show. Really, there were no gun shows. There were no gun TV shows. There were no gun radio shows. There were no gun anythings. Really, I mean, we had some gun magazines, but that was it. I said, yeah, we would talk about hunting in context with shooting, but shooting is the focus. Guns are the focus. And of course, the world caught up after a while, and that's what we do here. So sometimes we're talking about guns and shooting in conjunction with hunting, but it's not really a hunting show, if you will. Oh, by the way, I'm Tom Gresham, and you're listening to Gun Talk. If you'd like to be part of this, you can call it anytime, 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. A few weeks ago, I went back to the FTW Ranch in the hill country of Texas. Had a great time. It's kind of an abbreviated course we did with the folks from Ruger, shooting some long range and doing some of their SAM course, hunter prep course. And we thought, so you could kind of get a sense of what they do, because it's wonderful. I cannot wait to get back there. We bring in Tim Fallon, who runs the FTW Ranch. He's the head honcho there. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Good, Tom. How are you?
I am well. I had so much fun out there, guy.
Good. Well, it's certainly nice having you back, too. The first time you were there, you didn't get to shoot much.
I didn't. I was running cameras and running a crew, and we were doing TV. And this time I told them, you guys go shoot all the video. I am going to go shoot guns. It was a lot more fun.
Yes, it is.
So if you would, kind of give folks the background on FTW, how to get started and what is it?
Well, the original ranch was purchased in 1996. It took several years to get it ready to do what it does now, which is this is where we hold the SAM hunter training program, the Sportsman's All-Weather All-Trained Marksmanship. It's a very ethical-based hunter training, and it's for folks that are going to go on anything from an antelope hunt to a sheep hunt to around the world to all the way over to Africa to do dangerous game hunting and even dangerous game hunting in Alaska, of course.
Right.
So what we do is take folks new to very experienced with their own equipment, their own rifles, etc., and kind of crawl, walk, run through the process of teaching them how to be a lot more ethical and a lot better hunter, if you know what I'm saying.
What do you mean when you say you teach them to be ethical and you teach ethical hunting?
Well, Tom, as you know, you've heard me give the speech, 2 or 3 times now at the ranch. We're not we're not big fans of this long-distance killing crap you see on TV. Mm-hmm. We think it's the hunter's job to kill the animal in one shot, period. And, it's an ethics thing. You have to decide, okay, I got this, or you know what, I don't, I'm not sure. Then it's okay, don't shoot. Get closer, go home, drink a beer, and come back the next day or something. Mm-hmm. But we think it's extremely important. Look, there's enough pressure on the hunting world now. A lot of people disagree with hunting. There's lots of good reasons to do the hunting for conservation purposes. And if you're going to do it, you ought to be good at it, and you ought to be very ethical at it, not right. Take pokes out there at animals that you're not sure you're going to hit or not. It's not cool to wound an animal. It's absolutely atrocious.
Right. And, you do teach long range shooting. You teach people to shoot at long range, but part of that is I don't know if it's the actual goal of it, but it seems to me it's certainly a big part of it is you got to go stretch it way out there before you can find out, okay, that's too far. How far can I shoot with this rifle, with this scope, with this load, in these conditions, and then learning what your limitations are?
Well, Tom, you could not have said it better. The big question in for most people, most hunters, don't even understand what wind will do to a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of wind drift you get, and you saw it when you were here. But until folks experience that, a 400-yard shot and 15-mile-an-hour crosswinds is a really difficult shot.
Mm-hmm.
We've had several really wonderful guests here, but Craig Boddington really said it best. He said, I define long-range hunting as shooting past your capabilities. And, it kind of stunned all of us when he said it. And, wow, what a perfect description of long-range hunting. We don't like being called long-range hunting facility because that's really not what we do. We're actually talking people out of doing it. So, the important thing is you're exactly right. You get used to your gun, your scope, your bullet, and your shooting capabilities. There's your personal capabilities and there's your equipment capabilities. But learning the limitations within each environmental circumstances is a whole new ballgame. And, like any good golfer, if you're going to make a 300-yard drive, you ought to be practicing for 350 or 400 yards. And we do the same thing with on the precision side of the house.
Right.
If you think you're going to go on a sheep hunt and have to make shots at 350 and even 400 yards, good grief, our average shot on the Marco Polo students last year, Marco Polo sheep students, was 550 yards.
Wow.
Oh, I know, and that's a poke, and you got to be darn sure
shot.
What you're doing. Yeah, it is. So, A, you got to have good gear, and B, you better be really good in reading your environment and adjusting for it, of course.
Well, and I would throw out there's science and there's art to this. The science, and it's like, man, when you teach the course on the Kestrel, the ballistic computer, that's involved, and it gets into a whole bunch of stuff, and it's cool stuff. But then you take them out on the range, and you have to learn to read the wind. You have to be able to seriously, and it sounds weird, to work a trigger, and that is an art to it in itself. And you got great instructors. But I want you to touch, if you will, on what, after thinking about it for a few weeks, I think it really is kind of the heart of the decision-making process. And that is, I'm on an animal. Should I shoot? Should I not? And that is this concept you teach of the acceptable reticle movement.
Well, that's right, Tom. We, one of the 7 steps of the principles of marksmanship, number 2 and 3 is ARM, A-R-M, which is acceptable reticle movement. And what we try to teach folks is, look, you remember the hair in the scope drill, of course, and it's exciting. And it's where kind of most hunters fall apart. And I will tell you, no one is immune from what we call hair in the scope, and I mean animal hair, not your own hair.
Right.
But as you know, we simulate on a 7-day mule deer hunt. It's the last 30 minutes of the last day, and you have not seen your mule deer, and all of a sudden there he is. Mm-hmm. What do you think most hunters are going to do?
Most of them are going to take the shot.
Well, it's getting to that shot's the hard part, because pretty soon, your breathing's out of control, your heart rate's gone nuts. You tend to start throwing the 7 principles of marksmanship out the window. And what we're trying to do is teach you to stay calm, cool, and collected. And it's tough. Look, we've had military snipers miss a coyote at 110 yards here. No one is immune to it. And so what we're trying to do is when you're working with in the 7 principles of marksmanship, number 2 and 3, as I say, if you've got a 9-inch kill zone, let's say on an elk, and your reticle wobble is way more than 9 inches, you need to fix something before you start thinking about pulling that trigger. Mm-hmm. So what we try to preach is, look, you've got a 9-inch kill zone, try to get within 3 to 4 inches, very maximum of reticle wobble, and then don't worry about it. Get past the acceptable reticle movement once you've got it, and then go to your shooter breathing, your trigger control, front side focus, And,
let me put a fine point on that. What Tim's saying is, if the vital area is 9 inches, if you can get your wobble down to 3 or 4 inches, just do everything else and press the trigger, let the wobble happen, because no matter where it goes off within that 3 or 4 inch wobble, you're on the 9-inch vital. But if you've got a 14-inch wobble, you're wobbling on and off the vitals. You got to fix something. You got to get a better rest. You got to get closer. You got to do something, or just calm down until you can get that acceptable reticle movement small enough to take the shot.
Well, that's exactly right, Tom. And well, you've been through the training here, so you do know very well. But what typically happens is, we have a bunch of silly terms here at SAM, as you well know. And one of them's called a booger flicker and smasher and, all kinds of nicknames for folks that smash the trigger.
Yep.
And I personally think, this is my humble opinion, that people are getting too much wobble in the reticle, and they know it. So what are they going to do? They're going to start, I want the bullet to go right, bam, and they smash the trigger.
Yep.
Well, and as I demonstrated during the course, it's impossible to smash the trigger and not move the muzzle. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is 1,000th of an inch at the muzzle, and you got a 16th of an inch at 100 yards. In other words, the human hair movement of the muzzle is a half inch downrange. Well, a half inch at 100 yards is an inch at 200. It's 2 inches at 400. So you've got to fight that urge to smash the trigger, and that's all part of the, accepting the reticle movement and just move on to the rest of the principles of marksmanship and forget about the wobble.
Well, you've got a fabulous facility. What, 12,000 acres?
Yes, sir.
12,000 acres of the most incredible, rugged, diverse terrain to shoot in. How many different shooting ranges do you have, do you figure?
Currently, we have 32 active ranges, Tom, and we're actually, I know, it's insane, and there's actually 3 more under construction now.
Out to how far?
Well, we have the longest range, which is not for hunter training, obviously. It is for some military training and then some other ultra-long-range things that the industry is going through, which is great fun. But our longest range is 4,510 yards.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, yeah. But, I call it stupid fun, but it is fun.
It is. And you know what? We're burning ammo and having fun, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
All right. What's the website, Tim?
It is www.ftw Foxtrot Tango Whiskey SAM, Sierra Alpha Alpha Mike.com, FTWSAAM.com.
Got it. FTWSAM.com. Tim Fallon, thank you so much. I'm going to come back. I love the place, and more than anything, I tell you what, your people are terrific.
Thank you, Tom, and it was a pleasure having you. Look forward to seeing you again.
You take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. How far is too far? What's the longest shot you've made on animal? Have you ever turned down a shot and said, yeah, no, not today. That's just too far. 866-TALK-GUN.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
The Ruger pistol that started it all is now even better. The Ruger Mark IV has the same great look as the Mark III, but now its simple one-button takedown means less time taking apart your gun and more time shooting it. Disassemble it in seconds for no hassle cleaning. Learn more about the Target, Hunter, and 2245 Light Mark IV series models at Ruger.com. The Ruger Mark IV, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
I was talking about this Blink system. I just bought another one. Went a little crazy. Bought the Blink XT system. It's their outside unit. I'm going to put that around the cabin up here in Idaho. We have seen moose. Let's see. Neighbor saw a wolf. Lots and lots of deer. We have coyotes. It's crazy how much wildlife we have. So for me, just my personal deal, it's kind of like a trail camera, but you get the video. It's just kind of fun for me. So, yeah, if you want to take advantage of that, just go to blinkprotect.com/gun-talk. You'll get the 15% off on the Blink products there. blinkprotect.com/gun-talk. Eric's with us out of Waco, Texas, on line 1. Hey, Eric, what are you carrying?
Carry a Baby Eagle 45.
No. Do you really?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been carrying that?
I'd say about 8 years.
And how do you carry it? Where? What kind of holster? And how did you get there?
Well, currently I'm using a leather belt slide holster at the 3 o'clock position outside the waistband. The way I got there was started out with a nylon shoulder holster that holds it rearward facing on the under the left arm on the right.
Okay.
And I didn't like it pointing at people behind me, so I thought, well, I just thought, you know what, I'll try something different. I got me an elastic band that goes around the waist at the small of the back, but that was pointing at people to the side of me, and it kind of flopped around a lot. So I ended up coming across this deep appendix type carry. But it's not at the 2 o'clock position. It's more the 11 o'clock position. And went down really low. That was a leather one. I did that for a while. It was pretty uncomfortable sitting down, though. So I went to a small of the back inside the waistband Kydex holster.
Right.
With the steel belt clips on it. I had to go to somebody to have it made. Well, the Baby Eagles, you can't just go to the big box store and buy something. They don't make a lot of stuff for those. So I had to find somebody to make it for me, and then I'm at the outside the waistband. I do a lot of open carrying when I can, and I tuck my shirt over, pull my shirt over if it's not the right thing to do with the open carry for the moment.
So what you're describing, I think, is almost a perfect example of what we all go through when we start this. We try different holsters, different positions, different systems, and finally find one. You go, okay, that works. And the thing is, and you know the drill, Eric, is the one that you ended up with that works for you might not work at all for me.
Right.
So it's a process. It's a journey.
Carry, so.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I say it's a journey to get to where you find something that works for you.
Yes, sir, it is.
Well, that's very cool. Look, I appreciate you sharing that story. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the call. I would also offer, and he made an interesting observation, a lot of times you can't find the holster that you want at your local big box store. And you might be able to find it at your gun store. By all means, try your local gun store. But you can buy online. We've got some great sponsors that make really good holsters. Obviously, Crossbreed holsters, Alien Gear holsters, good stuff, very comfortable. I would encourage you to check those guys out as well. Hey, Daniel's on 3. He is out of Reno, Nevada. Daniel's got a range report for us. Hey, buddy.
I'm doing well, thank you. I just recently bought a Franklin Armory binary trigger. And I took it out to the range last weekend and had a lot of fun with it.
Okay, let me explain to people that don't know what we're talking about. The binary trigger it on your AR, it fires when you pull the trigger, and then it fires when you release the trigger. Now, you put it on your AR, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I actually put it on two different uppers, a regular 223 and a dedicated 22 LR upper.
Nice.
Now,
okay, so describe what happened when you go to the range and you first try this thing. What was that experience like?
Well, it took a little getting used to the fire on the pull and the fire on release. But once you get the rhythm down, you can do your double tap very fast, and your holes on target are right next to each other. And
now,
then,
people are going to ask
you,
I'm sure people ask you the same question. We all get the same question. What if I pull the trigger and I don't want to shoot it again, but I've got the trigger held back? What do I do? So tell people what you do with that.
So you pull the trigger, you don't want it to go off again, you just flick the safety selector over to either semi or safe and release the trigger, and it cancels that second shot. Yep,
perfect, exactly. It's a cool system, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. With the 22 upper, once I got the rhythm down, you could dump a 25-round magazine in about 2 seconds if you wanted to giggle and have a lot of fun.
Well, I think that's a lot of what it is. It's tons of fun. It's a way to shoot faster and keep shots on target. It's a pretty cool system. So that's neat. And I have tried them, and you're right. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but honestly, in 5 minutes, you got it mastered, don't you?
Oh, yeah. And it's a lot of fun just having those folks poke their head around the range and, come over and see what you're shooting.
Everybody wants to know
what you got.
What is that thing? Well, great range report. I sure appreciate that, sir. Daniel, that's cool. Yeah, that's the Franklin Armory binary trigger. It's a pull and release. It goes off when you pull it, goes off when you release it. You can imagine you can shoot pretty fast. Pretty slick. Oh, I like the idea of putting on a 22 rimfire. Less expensive ammo and surely no recoil. Pretty cool. What have you been shooting? Looking for your range reports. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun. We're open lines, waiting for your call right now.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
And more news, the National Rifle Association and the Second Amendment Foundation and two Seattle residents are suing the city of Seattle over its new gun control law. The lawsuit was filed last week in King County Superior Court, saying that the safe storage requirement that the new law has, it violates Washington state law, because they've got a preemption law in Washington state, which says that cities can't pass gun control laws. Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation was quoted as saying, Seattle simply can't break the law to adopt an ordinance as a political statement. The deal is that Seattle passed this law that requires so-called safe storage. You got to lock up your gun, basically, so make it where you can't use it for self-defense. The law says that a gun owner could be fined up to $500 if a firearm isn't locked up to $1,000 if a minor or an at-risk person or an unauthorized user accesses the weapon, and up to $10,000 if someone uses the firearm to injure someone. Lawsuit was expected, of course, you might imagine. The Evertown for Gun Safety, Bloomberg dollars, billions, and the law firm of Oric LLP, whose officials said that they would represent Seattle at no charge. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. But Washington State does have a preemption law, and you would think that Seattle could not have a gun control law because it is prohibited by state law. Makes sense to me. Let's see. Liam's on line 1 out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Liam, welcome to Gun Talk.
Hi, how you doing?
Great.
I was wondering how old you were when you first started shooting, and if you think there's a set age or it should be handled on a case-by-case basis.
I'm trying to remember how old I was. I don't know exactly. I would guess my dad probably started me shooting roughly around 7 or 8 years old with a BB gun, Daisy BB gun. Then as we got a little bit older, we moved into 22s. It's an interesting question of how old is old enough, and I think you're right on money. I think it is so individual. There are some youngsters who would be fine starting them out at 7 or 8. They're responsible. Some maybe not at 18. You know what I mean? Part of that is, does this youngster pay attention? Does this youngster... is he or she obedient? Is he responsible? I'm going to use he. Can you count on him to be safe? While at the same time understanding that you have to be there all the time to provide the safety. I mean, when I mean be there, I mean like within 2 feet all the time, close enough to where you can always reach out and get access to the firearm so the muzzle doesn't swing where it shouldn't go. But I would think most kids could be introduced to BB guns at 8 or so. And then, I shot my first deer at age 11 with a 308. I was going to say, this would be fun, a fully semi-automatic firearm. That's what the media would call it. A semi-automatic rifle, the Winchester Model 100 and 308, when I was 11 years old. So, yeah, I think 8 is probably, a kind of a target. Liam, do you have kids? Is that what you're thinking at this point?
No, I was just generally curious on your take.
Okay. Well, like I say, I think it depends. Partly it's the adult who's involved. It's the kid. And understanding that how you start someone out, make sure they have success, make sure it's safe. And get them started wearing eye protection always. Maybe even hearing protection when they're shooting a BB gun. Yeah, I know you don't need it, but just reinforcing the idea that, look, when we practice shooting, we always wear hearing protection, period. We just always do. And just a thought there. Let's see, Chuck's in Farmington, New Mexico on 3. Chuck, what did you get?
I got my dream gun. I've always wanted a .455 Webley Mark 6, and I finally got one a couple of weeks ago.
Where did you get it?
A friend of mine had one in superior condition. It doesn't even show any holster wear on it. He was opening a business and he needed some cash, so I thought I would help him out and he could help me out.
Wow. Okay. So what was it about the Webley that had your attention where you always wanted to get one?
Well, when I saw Zulu Dawn with Michael Caine in it and he was using a Webley in that movie, I just thought it was a sexy-looking gun, and I've always wanted one.
Well, they are. Well, they're big. This is a big revolver, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big revolver. It's as big as, a Peacemaker or anything else you could find.
Yeah, it's big. So the question is, where do you get ammo for it?
That's the question. I've been reading up, and they say that this one's been shaved, so it takes 45 ACP in a moon clip.
Okay.
But they say that the 45 ACP generates 1,900 PSI when you fire it, which is like every time you pull the trigger, you're putting a proof round through that gun. And I'm wondering if there's any ammunition that's down around 1,400 PSI, like the old 455.
What you might do is look at some of the Cowboy Action loads or somebody that might have reduced loads in 45 ACP. Black Hills Ammo may have something. And, just call them and ask them what's the pressure on these loads. Now, the other thing, I'm just looking here. I had, okay. I just went online, sgaammo.com out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, has 4.55 Webley ammo. Looks like 50-round box for $33. That doesn't sound bad.
No, that's not bad at all. One of the other things I heard is that since they've shaved it, sometimes the firing pin doesn't drop all the way down on the 455. There's a little bit of gap that they use when they shaved it down.
Yeah, and I don't know the drill on that. You know, have you checked to see if there's any kind of like a Facebook group or online group of 455 Webley fans?
No, I haven't.
If you could
figured
find
I'd come
that,
to the best source out there first, you.
Well, I appreciate that. Basically, what I do is I'm a referral service as much as anything, because when you get into something like this, it's a bit esoteric. It's not a bad idea to locate the, if you will, the users group. Find out, 'cause if you get a group of people who like that cartridge, have that revolver, they're going to know everything about the ins and outs and where to find it. And it's just, now that you've had it shaved, this is what you're looking at. And I would do just a little poking around and see if you can find a group like that. It could be on Facebook.
That's
it could be online. But, and all you need is a couple of dozen people that are into this, and you've hit the mother lode right there.
That's sweet. All right, I appreciate that.
All right, you take care, Chuck. I appreciate the call. 866-TALK-GUNS. Clearly, we are open lines because we're all over the place. So if you got a question, a comment, or you think I'm just all wet and I've made lots of mistakes, well, I have in my life, by all means, call 866-TALK-GUNS.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
When you want the highest quality ammunition, look to HSM. Since 1968, hunters and shooters have counted on HSM cartridges, including world-renowned Trophy Gold, featuring Berger VLD bullets, Pro Pistol Hunter, Cowboy Action, and the new Game King, featuring field-proven Sierra bullets. HSM's new revolutionary low-recoil rifle loads hit game hard, but kick much less. Low-recoil loads use standard weight-for-caliber Sierra hunting bullets in 7 popular calibers. HSM, at your local shooting sports retailer.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Tactical professionals who put their lives on the line every day depend on Surefire. Since 1979, Surefire has designed, machined, and assembled the finest flashlights and weapon-mounted lights right here in the U.S. From everyday carry flashlights with 1,200 lumens and mil-spec hard anodized finishes to the most reliable weapon lights on the market for duty use or your home defense firearm, Surefire has what you need. American built, American strong. Visit surefire.com.
As you probably know by now, I do not have all the answers, but I have a lot of the questions. But we have this crack staff of people, millions of you out there who help me out. One of them is Mark. He's called in right now on line 2 out of Portland, Oregon. 455 Webley. Help me out, Mark.
My understanding is that Fiocchi still loads the 455 Webley Mark II cartridge.
Oh, cool. I was not aware of that. Well, that'd be nice to be able to buy regular old ammo, and Fiocchi makes good ammo.
Yeah. So, honey, I'm on the phone. I got a hold of my dad's 455 Webley, and it does not have a shaved cylinder. It's actually set up for the regular cartridge, and I've just recently acquired that, and I've got loading dies and whatnot. I still haven't loaded anything for it. In fact, one of the things I'd like to do is I found a load for 45 Colt using a 454 round ball, and I'd like to try to load something similar to that in my Webley. So I need to do a little comparison. But at any rate, so that's what I wanted to make sure that you knew.
Okay, good deal.
And as far as my carry guns go, I carry an SR9 Ruger in a alien gear holster.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a LC9S in a DeSantis pocket holster for my backup.
Well, that's interesting. You are carrying two of the guns that I think are really good, but also at the same time don't get nearly enough credit. I think the SR9 is one of the sleeper, really good pistols out there, and the LC9S, when they did the S version, the trigger got really good really fast. I like that pistol.
It did. It got really nice. I shot my father-in-law's original LC9, and it was okay. I didn't have any big issues with it, but when I tried the striker-fired one, I was like, oh, yeah, baby.
Yes, exactly. I had the same thing. I went, well, the LC9 is okay. It's a nice pistol. And then you got the striker-fire, the S, and you go, oh, yeah, that's what it ought to be. That's the way to go.
Oh yeah, and the SR9 once I flipped the backstrap over for the flat side, just fit my hand just beautifully. I'm like, oh yeah, I can live with this.
And that's a really trim, a thin, if you will, a thin pistol with full capacity magazine. I mean, that's just a nice gun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then here's the fun thing. For my LC9S, I actually stitched a pocket on the inside of my offside pants pocket.
Okay.
And I stuck a magazine in there. So now I have a spare magazine that's completely concealed.
Huh.
And then I have my pocket gun on the other side. And then I've got 18 rounds of 9mm on my hip. So I've got something like 40 some odd rounds of ammunition no touch me at my beck and call. So,
well, you've been giving us some thought. I appreciate the help, sir, on the 455 Webley Fiocchi, making ammo for that, and good insight on your carry guns. Let me quickly go to Mike in Tioga, North Dakota on 4. Mike, I got a minute for you, so dive in, please.
Tom, just wanted to follow up to your call earlier from the gentleman commenting on the perfect age to start use, and it is a case-by-case thing. I'm 61 years old and have taught many youths. You just have to evaluate their maturity levels, but the key, and it has paid off in so many ways over the years, the key that I emphasize over and over is the safety. And what's impressive is to see these youngsters go out, spend some time, and be around them when you're just watching a TV program, and out of nowhere they go, gosh, he really should have done this, or she shouldn't have been doing that. And that's when you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you kind of get that big smile of going, yeah, they're paying attention. He's listening, she's listening, they're getting it. And then you're going, okay, that's going to be all right. No, it's exactly right. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is an individual, case by case, based on the maturity of the youngster. But at the same time, you, as the person who is teaching a youngster, you need to be up on gun safety, 4 rules of gun safety. You need to understand that the goal is to make it fun. And the way you make it fun for a new shooter, young or old, is to ensure success. So get the target up close. Reactive targets are great. I mentioned Dixie cups. I'm stacking up red Solo cups, if you will. Shooting them with airsoft, having reactive targets. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Here's a reactive target for you. With a BB gun, how about saltine or Ritz crackers, something like that? You can shoot them in the backyard. They go, go all over the place. Don't shoot them inside the house because Mama doesn't like that. You got crumbs everywhere. And also, if you shoot those outside, you don't have to pick them up. The birds will pick them up, and they'll wash away. They're biodegradable. Very cool stuff. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Hey, real quickly, when we come back, I'll give you just a little bit more information about Judge Kavanaugh, the nominee for the Supreme Court, and his take on guns. Some interesting stuff going on there. Also, some news on the gun rights front. But we have room for you right now, 866-TALK-GUN. back with you. 866 Talk Gun. Let's see. Quotes from Judge Kavanaugh, now up for the U.S. Supreme Court. A ban, love this one, a ban on a class of arms is not an incidental regulation. It is equivalent to a ban on a category of speech. He wrote that in his dissent on Heller versus District of Columbia. Let's see. He wrote, gun bans and gun regulations that are not long-standing or sufficiently rooted in the text, history, and tradition are not consistent with Second Amendment individual rights. Basically, what he's saying is, if a gun's been used for years, and if it's in common use, you can't ban it. Simple as that. I don't care if it's semi-automatic. I don't care what it is. The Heller decision says if a gun is common and it's been used, you cannot ban it. And then we have this little piece of information, not surprising. An ex-cop out of the New York Police Department, NYPD, former city cop spills his guts telling Manhattan jurors about a year's worth of bribes he and his fellow officers received doling out, wait for it, gun permits. Everything from cash, prostitutes, and expensive watches to baseball memorabilia and exotic vacations. David Villanueva, an ex-supervisor in the NYPD's license division, said he and other cops, including officers, their names there, were on the take for years from so-called gun expediters. In exchange, the officers doled out pistol permits like candy, even to people who should not have had them. Gee, why are we not surprised by that? Yeah. All right, John's in Madison, Wisconsin on 3. John, I got a minute and a half for you, so please jump in.
Okay, Tom, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I've been reading on some. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've been reading on some cowboy blogs. I'm kind of like the single actions about inquiries about the new Huberty Callahan 44 mag. Now it's not the Cattleman, the Callahan. So I ordered one of these, and I picked this thing up, and I don't shoot 44 mag in it. I do reload it. So I've only been shooting 44 special, and what I call 44 special plus D. Mm-hmm. And all I can say is run, don't walk to your nearest Huberty distributor and get one of these. This thing is great gun. It's very well made. It's got a trigger probably second only to Colt. It's better than any of my Rugers.
Wow.
Of course, this is only one example. But this is a great gun.
Well, that's a great report. The Huberty Callahan 44 Magnum. I love that. Okay. And then you also wanted to invite calls for manufacturers to do what?
Well, what I'd like you to see ask people to take calls on what they would like manufacturers to make. Now, I've had several L-frame Smiths. I've got a couple now. I got a 586 and a 686 Plus. What I'd like to see is a 5-inch 586. And you remember many years ago when they made a Model 14, I think it was 14-5 or 14-6. Well, it had a 6-inch. It had a 6-inch full lug barrel. I'd really like to see a 5-inch.
Absolutely, and I had a 5-inch Model 27 357 Magnum that I ended up selling foolishly. God, 35, 40 years ago. Wish I had that one back. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and we will. We'll ask people anytime, always. Let us know what you would like to have the manufacturer start making. By the way, we're going to kick into the after show here in just a couple of minutes. If you'd like to be a part of that, you can call us right now, and we'll get you on the after show. Again, the number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. In the meantime, be sure to check out the after show. You can listen to it with your Gun Dealio app, which is free for your smartphone. In the meantime, do some shooting, take some folks out there to the range, and have some fun.